Hey y'all, and welcome back to the channel. Today's video was requested by Rockton Aquatics on Instagram, and they asked my opinion on bare bottom aquariums versus decorated tanks. In my opinion, I don't like bare bottom tanks. I don't like the idea of a plain aquarium with no substrate and no decorations. Some people will not use a substrate but will add potted plants and things like that, and I guess that's okay. I don't like to see just fish in an aquarium. To me, that's not aesthetically pleasing, and it's not a real good life for the fish either. Bare bottom tanks and, basically no decorations whatsoever. People like that idea because they're very easy to clean, and that is true. I mean, you can put a siphon in there and get all the dirt and the waste out very easily, and uneaten food. The filter also has an easier time of picking up those things because there's nothing in the way and there's nothing for it to get trapped in, such as rock or sand or other ornaments. Some people also like them because there's more swim space for the goldfish, but when it comes to substrate, you're not adding that much. Like, it's not going to be noticeable. Like, there's not going to be a whole lot of difference, and the fish isn't going to notice that, and it's not going to be a big change if you went bare bottom. You also have to take into account that without substrate, you're going to have a shiny bottom. It's also going to glare, so a lot of people that have bare bottoms take the aquarium out and spray paint the bottom and the back flat black, or some people do blue. And to me, that's just more time and energy when I could just put rocks in the background in it, or sand for that matter. Also, with bare bottoms and no decorations, the goldfish doesn't really have any interaction. I mean, in their natural habitat, there's substrate and there's plants and there's other fish, and when they're in just a glass box, that's just, to me, that's not very that's not a good habitat for a goldfish. You're not giving them the best quality of life either. Decorated tanks not only are aesthetically pleasing, but they allow the goldfish to interact with something. Like these, all of my goldfish, you can see them doing it right now probably. They love to pick up and spit out rocks. That is their thing. And I know a lot of people say, well, they get rocks stuck in their mouth. Occasionally, but in almost 19 years of me having goldfish, I have always had rock, and I have had a goldfish get rock stuck in their mouth one time. And that's it. They generally do a pretty good job, and they pretty much keep the rock pretty clean for me. Other than that, even if you had sand, for instance, they still will, vacuum the substrate as well, and they do ingest some of the sand, but it's not a big deal. It just acts like fiber, essentially, and it doesn't bother them in that way either. But I think if I put them in something, even when I had fish in quarantine or I was treating a sick fish in my big plastic tubs, there is no substrate in those, but I just found them to just not be active. Like, there just wasn't anything for them to do. I mean, I didn't like it. I didn't like watching them because they were just almost depressed, and not only that, but most of them were sick too while they're in there. But it's just not a fun thing for them when there's nothing for them to do or interact with. It's like you being in an empty room. Like, what are you gonna do? It's also, the natural habitat for goldfish. Like I said before, they have plants and substrate and rocks and, that kind of thing in their natural habitat. And if you want to keep these fish, why don't you try to mimic that? The one thing people hate about decorated tanks is cleaning them. And I will tell you, it is not that difficult. You know, when I'm doing a water change on these tanks, they all get water changes weekly. And I do generally about 80% at a time. While the water changer is sucking the water out, you know, I take my algae scrubber and go around the sides of the aquarium. I take the decorations, I move them over, and I siphon all the gravel underneath to get anything that was trapped. And you know, I also clean the filters out, rinse them out, and by the time I do this, you know, the water changer is pretty much done, and I fill the tank back up. I mean, it's not anything that requires more time because you're already waiting for the water changer to finish siphoning. So it's not that much different, and it's really not that difficult if you keep up with your water changes. You're going to be doing it anyway. Also, something with decorated tanks, I have a lot of people that come to see these fish, and you know, my family and friends, you know, they love to see these fish, and every time they come over, that's the first thing they want to do. And I like my tanks to look nice. I like them to look good, and I think bare bottom tanks, you know, just there's nothing in there to make the fish look good. I mean, yeah, you're looking at the fish, and some people say that they're supposed to be the main attraction for the aquarium, and that is true, but I think when you're decorating the tank itself becomes an attraction as well. They want to see what I've done with the aquariums, and they want to see the fish and how they interact with their surroundings and things. And I think if I just had bare tanks, that would kind of be boring. And I mean, these tanks are all over my house. You know, I have one in my living room, 2 in my kitchen. You know, I have 4 in the fish room. They would all just kind of start to look the same, and I think that takes the fun out of it for me. It really depends on your perspective on, you know, these fish, and if you'd rather have bare tanks or decorated tanks. I've seen some people that are completely against decorated tanks. They hate them, they don't want to deal with them, and they keep their fish in a glass box, pretty much, and that's it. And they like that. They call it the minimalist look, and I don't know, that's the modern thing now, and I'm just not a modern person. I'm a country girl from Kentucky, and I like my tanks decorated, so they're gonna continue to be decorated. You will see often, you know, in my videos and whatnot, especially on my Instagram, my fish are very interactive with their environment, and I think if I took everything away from them, you know, they would be depressed and they wouldn't be interactive, and they would just be floating essentially in water in a glass box. And I just don't see that being fun in any way, and but that's completely my opinion, and if you like the minimalist look, then good for you, and I hope you enjoy your fish. That's what the hobby is. Fish keeping in general is you want what's best for the fish, and you want to keep them happy and healthy, and you want to enjoy it while you're at it, because this hobby is a lot of work, and if you don't like what you're doing, your fish is going to suffer because you're not going to take care of them properly. That said, you're the one doing the work, and if you don't want to pick up decorations and move them and, you know, siphon the rock, then don't. Then you don't want that, and that's fine. Everybody has their own opinion. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope Rockton Aquatics that this answered your question. I'm just not a fan of bare aquariums, and I don't think I'll ever be. I don't think I'll ever have one either, just because I just like to decorate stuff. I like that. So hope you enjoyed the video, and I have been updating a lot more than I usually do, and that is because I am on Christmas break. from college, and I've got about 2 weeks left before I go back to class. So I'll be updating several times a week until then, and then I will go back to my weekly videos. So stay tuned, and I'll see y'all next time.